Crafty Crandall fam? Long time no see. I realize it's been a little bit since I've filmed anything, but I am back with a vengeance and a new hairstyle to share with you my artistic process for creating a piece of work that is fan art from my favorite band, Alter Bridge. So come along with me and let's go. I started out with a thumbnail sketch because I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do. I had a previous concept sketch that I didn't end up following and didn't end up liking as I listened to the song again and came up with this design. It was a little bit complicated at first to get the sizing right, but I think I managed in the end and got to fit in the entire raven with its full wingspan, and also made the crown sized such that it would fit on the top of the pawn's head. The song Pawns and Kings is a really inspirational one. I highly recommend you going and listening to it. I then did a quick little color study just to make sure that I knew what I was doing, which didn't really seem necessary after I did it because there was only 3 colors: white, black, and gold. And I mean, I guess gray if you count gray as a color too. But after that, I tried this new gold leaf that I've got, which honestly, I didn't realize that you were supposed to buy their type of adhesive for it. So instead, I used some glue, and I wanted to test out which glue would work better for it. It appeared at first that the liquid glue would be my better bet rather than the glue stick, and so that's what I ended up going with in the end. But first, I had to paint this. And so in keeping with the song, I kind of kept a really muted color tone and like dark feel for it, but with the pawn being like the ray of light and hope within the composition. So that was kind of my inspiration. I wanted to have more of like a light source in the top right corner and more of a dark source of shadows in the lower left-hand corner, which is what I tried to do with some of the dry brushing technique that I had. I used my gouache for most of this and then used my pearlescent colors to do all of the pawn and the crown at the end, which I think worked out really well, but everything else was with my gouache. I have a M-gram gouache color that I used for the gray, and then I used some M-gram watercolor as well, just to like lighten it up with some white. Honestly, I was impressed with how mixing the gouache and the watercolor worked. I think it turned out exactly as I wanted, and since I don't use white watercolor very much for watercolor paintings, it was really useful to find out that it works well with gouache because I will use it for that. Overall, this was kind of a simple art piece. It was a lot more simple than I had originally been anticipating, but a lot of detail did go into the crow, and I am very pleased with how it ended up turning out, although in the beginning it was difficult to get the values that I was really hoping for or that I saw in my reference photo. I tried to have a lot of fun just adding little flicks and textures into this piece. I really wanted the dry brushing technique to stand out as kind of like a texturing element for this piece, and I think in the end it did work pretty well. Overall, I kind of wanted to have even more texture in the end. I wanted it to be almost more abstract than it ended up being, but as more of a realistic artist, I still have trouble with abstract. So if you have any tips or tricks for me on how to like loosen up and get more abstract with my art, I would really love to hear them down below. At some point, I do plan on doing like a straight up abstract art with me kind of video so that I can practice, because I'll never get better at it if I don't practice. I had so much fun with the wings on this piece. I think that they were just really enjoyable to do, and again, I think that they lent the most opportunity for kind of getting some more texture, because I did want to keep the pawn very clean cut, because I think that that just adds like a textural juxtaposition to draw your eye to the pawn and then downward toward the crow. But I don't know. Let me know if my composition was actually decent in this piece, because composition is also something I struggle with. Overall, I'm just out here trying to get better at art, trying to display my love and affection for great music such as this, and just being a general fan of creativity as, a fan of music and also an artist myself. The gold leaf was kind of a failure in the end, honestly. As you can see, I tried really hard to make sure that the glue just was where the crown was, and unfortunately it didn't all stick to the gold leaf, and so then I just decided, okay, that's fine, I'm gonna rough it up, I'm gonna just have some gold leaf texture, and then I will paint over it with my my pearlescent watercolor, my Finetech pearlescent watercolor. I've done a video on that before. If you're interested, I'll try to link it above for you. But this paint is fantastic, and I was so impressed with how well it covered over this. With the glue and everything, I wasn't sure if it would even dry down and stick, but it totally did, and it was well worth doing. And honestly, I probably could have gone back and done a second layer, but I almost liked how when the light struck this, it was varied in every way. Texture, color, how the light hits it. It just looks very rustic, and I think that that's kind of the point of the song is to embrace the struggle and overcome, and I think that the crown really kind of ties in with that, because it's very clear that this crown has had a struggle in getting to this pawn. It was clearly wrought from the hands of a king, and so I think it just added to the story, and although it might not be the best, I think that it did at least lend itself to the composition a little bit further. I then decided to just go over and line over the pawn, again, mostly to draw attention to it so that it's clear that it is one cohesive figure, and also just to have a pop of some shimmer, because I think that the shimmer looks really pretty, and although it is not as noticeable as the gold of the crown, I do think that it lends itself to again, the composition. Overall, I was really happy with how this piece turned out, and I think that it was a lot of fun trying something new using the gold leaf and just adding even more texture to the background with it, in addition to the crown that I had done earlier. It was definitely a learning experience, and next time I go to use it, I will be better prepared for that and kind of tie in the difficulties that I have with it into my process. But again, I had a ton of fun, and I really appreciate you guys watching. If you see this part where my nails are different, that's because this is actually a different day. I never take my painting off the block on the day that I do it because it'll warp, whereas if I wait, it'll be nice and smooth. I added some text to the bottom, and that was about it for this piece. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Your time means a lot to me. Let me know if you liked this piece down below. Feel free to like this video or subscribe to my channel if you are interested. I post new content that is art related and occasionally book related, usually every Tuesday, but occasionally I do miss a week. So I'm back. I have a new hairstyle, and I'm excited to see what the future holds. Thank you guys so much. Have a good one. Bye.